A few years ago, I began exploring Minecraft and its various extensions provided by an ever-growing community. Playing my favorite game was fun at first, but it ended up being even more exciting than I imagined. And this is where my story begins. A story about stepping into a magical realm shaped by mystery and imagination. A place full of unknown paths, forgotten secrets, and challenges waiting to be faced. In this series, I journey through wide, breathtaking landscapes. With every step forward, new mysteries unfold, pulling me deeper into arcane studies and the hidden patterns shaping this world. I discover new structures and face the dangers that live in this enchanted place. Over time, I learn not only the nature of magic itself, but how to wield it, using it not as a shortcut, but as a tool that demands patience and care. With little knowledge and a sense of adventure, I begin my magical Minecraft journey. Let me welcome you to the charms of magic. When I arrived in this new world, I immediately noticed how beautiful my surroundings were. I knew I wouldn't have to search for long to find a place to stay. Although it's a magical world, it still follows the tradition of breaking the first wood with your fist. Thanks to a very lucky spawn, I quickly gathered the wood I needed and crafted a wooden pickaxe. While mining for stone, I also found copper and coal, important resources I didn't hesitate to take with me. Once I felt prepared, I set out to explore the unknown lands ahead. My spawn had already proven to be kind. Surrounded by vibrant green fields and beautiful flowers, I was already falling in love with this place. A bit further ahead, I discovered a house hidden in the forest, and it held surprisingly good loot. Within just a few minutes, I found my first diamond, a compass, a second diamond, an iron sword, and even some iron armor. I also took plenty of wheat from the chests to secure my food supply, and to prepare for upcoming smelting, I took one of the furnace with me. As the sky grew darker while I looted the house, I decided to continue my journey the next day. In a nearby village, I found my first waystone, which I immediately mined to take with me. Not far from the village, I spotted a strange tower. Curiosity got the better of me, so I climbed it. And it paid off! At this point, my inventory was already overflowing, but I still hadn't found a place I wanted to call home. So I kept wandering and soon discovered a small, charming spot that turned out to be a post office, home to owls and some very interesting loot. On the second floor, I was rewarded with a golden apple hidden inside one of the packages. In one of the rooms, I discovered a beautiful, small, animated coffer. It worked like a backpack. So I began emptying out my inventory into the coffer, making room for more. After some more exploration, I was finally able to craft a backpack and a nature's compass. In the evening, I came across a small cabin, and to my surprise, people were living in there. These humans were recruitable companions. They'll follow me if I give them their requested food. But this person actually frightened me. So, of course, the best thing to do was to take all the useful items they had and sleep the night away in their comfy bed. The next day, my excitement to finally settle in this magical realm reached its peak when I discovered a whimsical biome called the Mystic Grove. And true to its name, it did not disappoint. Of course, I gathered some of the blue logs and picked a few of the sparkling flowers. It was mesmerizing to look at the cool toned grass, the magical trees, and the purple-colored water. In my mind, I already decided this would be the place to build my base. And then I stumbled upon a smithy filled with incredible resources. I took all the iron and coal blocks and also the smithing table. Up in the attic, I started smelting my first ores. It took quite a while, but in the end I had almost a stack and a half of iron bars. The next day I noticed a tower next to the house and climbed the stairs to the top. There was a chest and an incredible view waiting for me. Looking around the edges, I saw a place where I knew I was going to settle down. I quickly got to work and started clearing the land. I set up my bed and crafting table, then made an iron shovel, knowing I would need it to terraform the area. Using blueprints I found on Pinterest, I'm planning to build my biggest survival base so far. While I was working, a pillager suddenly decided to attack me. Out of fear, I ran away at first, but then I turned and faced him head-on. But the pillager attack shouldn't be the last. A necromancer had spawned, sending its summoned creature straight at me. But hey, if it means I have to fight to protect my property, I'm more than ready. The fight wasn't easy, but in the end, I emerged victorious. Then I explored a nearby village, where I discovered a goddess statue that granted me extra hearts in exchange for spirit orbs. I also found some more treasures, a waystone, and even a small dungeon filled with skeletons. Realizing I shouldn't face them alone, I discovered a poor iron golem locked inside a house. Out of pure mercy, I freed him. Though I didn't tell him that I actually expected him to fight for me. With the last skeleton defeated, he cleared the way and I was free to loot the chests. Back at home, I finally started working on the layout of my house. When suddenly this mob spawning attitude attacked me again. This time I tried to be fast enough to kill it before it could spawn a ton of mobs, but as you can see, I failed. Lucky for me, I still managed to fight them. I then placed a waystone for easy travel. Then I equipped myself with 3 iron pickaxes and set out to explore the caves. Not wanting to spend too much time looking for a cave entrance, I decided to dig straight down. Consider it a stupid idea. By the time I reached Deep Slate level, I had run out of ladders and had to head back up to craft some more. On my way back to my personal ladder to madness, I ran into a creeper. Realizing that fighting it with my sword would be a terrible idea, I switched to a ranged weapon I had found in a dungeon chest earlier. Back in the cave, I dug deeper and discovered a mysterious ore I'd never seen before, so I mined it. A few moments later, I finally broke into a cave, and as I tried to carefully make my way down, I just fell straight into it. I quickly spotted some goodies, which immediately made the way into my inventory. While mining, I came across a strange cage. I couldn't destroy it, but it released a horde of mobs. Luckily, they all got burned by the nearby lava, which made the fight much easier. And when I finally took down the last mob, I almost triggered a warden, something I was definitely not prepared for. So I quietly snuck away. Occasionally, I was greeted by some apotheosis mobs, like Jericho the Special, which dropped his enchanted leggings. After that, I made my way back to the dungeon to deal with the shriekers and spawners. And as I peeked into the chests, the loot did not disappoint. Deeper into the cave, I mined my way to a larger lava lake and began turning it into obsidian. But when I started mining, I realized my iron pickaxe wasn't strong enough to harvest it. So I placed a waystone, returned to the surface and crafted a bigger backpack. And a diamond pickaxe. Back down, I collected the obsidian and stumbled upon a camp only to be attacked by a mimic. This mimic had a lot of health, but I managed to take it down. As a reward, I received vampiric gloves that absorbed health when attacking. Shortly after, I spotted another mimic. This time I wasn't nearly as scared and jumped straight into the fight. And the reward? A plastic drinking hat. Oh my god, that's ridiculous. A bit further down in the caves, I found a spider spawner hidden beneath a rock. I had an incredibly hard time here. With only a few hearts left, I finally managed to destroy it. Once the spawner was gone, a chest revealed itself. But first, I ran away to catch my breath and fight off the remaining spiders. When I returned, the loot inside the chest was, honestly, not even close to worth what I had just gone through. With the gathered obsidian, I finally focused on setting up my enchanting table. And that's when I was greeted by an unfamiliar system. When I checked the requirements for better bookshelves, I realized they were insanely expensive and I didn't have the materials to craft them yet. So I stuck to the vanilla ones and happily enchanted my first tools. I didn't get the best enchantments, but hey, better than none. After that, I tried boosting my stats by adding a zombie and a creeper head. Now I wanted to focus on a safe place to stay. To gather a specific sandstone, I had to travel over 2,000 blocks, but since I like it, I thought it was worth it. Along the way, I came across another village. I activated the waystone there and offered my first spirit orbs to the goddess statue, which rewarded me with extra hearts. After a while, I finally found the biome I had been looking for. The view was absolutely stunning and I quickly placed the waystone to make traveling back easier. Then I began digging for the materials I would need to build my house. On the way, I got jump scared by ghosts. Terrifying at first, but actually harmless. As night fell, I came across some spruce trees. Since I love spruce wood, I gathered a sapling and then slept the night away. On the next day, I came across a strange-looking structure, a wishing well. Although the advancement banner told me to jump, I'd rather not. So I turned around and walked away. I immediately regretted my decision as a giant red fire dragon appeared on the horizon. Knowing there was no way I could fight this creature, I ran. As it flew past, I realized the only way out of this mess was to dig myself into the ground. So I did, as fast as I could, while burning and almost dying. My quick survival skills had saved me from the dragon's attack. So yeah. I could see it still circling outside, ready to strike again, so I dug my way through the mountain to the other side. After a while, I ran into some pillagers, but I managed to take them out pretty easily. At their camp, I spotted a sleeping bag and took it with me. On my way, I found more materials that I wanted to include in my block palette for the build. I ended up crafting a second backpack, upgrading it to iron and filling it with all the travertine I had collected. Back at home, I finally started to work on my house. First, I crafted the mason and bought a new table from the chipped mod. But as I was melting some blocks to begin building, a winemaker and his donkeys decided to completely disrupt my work. Since I'm a people pleaser and I didn't want it to be rude, I carefully worked my way around them. For the house, I decided to use swamp oak planks for the floor. I wanted to use cottonwood planks, but since I couldn't find any, I went with what I had. I then set up 2 campfires to have a cozy fireplace. I don't know what got into me, but for some reason I decided it was a good idea to head to the Nether. I guess I was looking for quartz. Arriving in the hellish dimension, I was a bit thrown off. First of all, my nether portal was horizontal, something I'd never seen before. And on top of it, I spawned right next to a nether fortress. How lucky can you get? Here, I found some pretty decent loot. As I made my way into the heart of the fortress, a blaze attacked me. Just as I thought I could handle the fight, a huge magma block appeared out of nowhere, and I dashed for cover. On the second floor, a goblin trader nearly gave me a heart attack, but as I looked through his offers, I noticed he was selling a totem of undying for 2 netherite ingots. I don't have that. A little frustrated, I made my way up to the roof and was immediately greeted by a horde of wither skeletons and blazes, but also diamond armor. Getting stuck while burning and under constant attack, I decided to retreat to a calmer spot, the fortress basement, where I got attacked again. Of course, it wasn't peaceful down there either, but it was better than the roof, and I continued looting and fighting my way through the dark, narrow hallways. I found tons of chests, loot, and even crying obsidian. As I wandered through the last floors, a notification popped up. Andy, the gorilla slaughterer, has awoken nearby. Not really thinking about how bad this would get, I kept charging ahead in the clouds, fighting the nether creatures. While getting shot by blazes, Andy peeked around the corner and started chasing me at full speed. Seeing that he had whopping 190 HP and that I was barely causing any damage, I turned and tried to run, only to find myself in a dead end.
Yeah, I'm a bad bitch. You can't kill me.
He struck me down and I was defeated. Maybe you can understand why I don't play in hardcore. Once I got all my stuff back from the nether, I decided to let it rest and refocus on building. I needed more lush sandstone, and that's when I set up myself for another side quest. While collecting sandstone, I spotted a huge building on the horizon that immediately piqued my interest. I ran towards the colorful building, only to have a pillager spawn right in front of me. The firework in his hand distracted me, but thanks to my shield, he didn't do much damage, and I was able to take him out. Deeper into the dungeon, even more pillagers appeared. I fought my way through and managed to destroy some spawners. It didn't help much though, the whole structure was swarming with enemies and they kept spawning stronger mobs. As darkness fell and the mobs seemed to grow even more dangerous, I had no choice but to retreat. To avoid any further surprises, I pulled out my sleeping bag and slept beneath the shimmering night sky and the cold, sandy ground. My adventure continued the next day. I stumbled upon a tavern where I found a map to an ancient city in a chest, which, of course, I forgot the moment I tucked it into my inventory. Later that day, I learned that fairies had a thing for stealing until one snatched my stuff. I got my bucket back, but the annoyance is still lingering. After a while, I spotted a new structure in the riverbed. Curious to see what it was, I made my way over. The loot of the fisher house was meh, but I took it anyway. On the second floor, I took a closer look and realized this place was not what it seemed. The whole floor was covered in blood and blocks of flesh were stacked in the corner. So, of course, the best option was to sleep in this haunted house. Totally rational, right? I mean, it was a nighttime, and honestly, what seemed worse? A harmless haunted house or the mobs waiting for me outside? You get the idea. The next day, I thought I was safe from mobs, and oh boy, was I wrong. I spotted 2 structures near the fisherman's lodge, and as I got closer, I was immediately attacked by husks. While fighting the 2 husks, I didn't notice what was happening behind them. You can probably guess my reaction when I suddenly realized what was coming. The water became my safe haven, letting me take down the mobs one by one. Once I finished them off, I explored the structure and checked out the loot. I found an enchanted diamond sword, an end crystal, and a few ghast tears. Then it was time to head back home. In a hot dropland, I found another material I wanted for my build. I love limestone from the Create mod. It has such a nice warm white color, and I'm planning to use it for almost my entire cellar. With full backpacks and inventory, I came across a lush, vibrant biome where I saw the cutest mob ever. It's called an Audion, and its favorite food is allium. Sadly, you can't make it your pet, so I left it behind and finally returned home. Not wanting to waste any more time, I got to work on the house, determined to finish it. I created a pattern with the limestone in the hallway, crafted some diorite windows from Macaw's windows, and placed them almost everywhere. Then I decided it was time to move all my stuff inside the house. For my enchanting setup, I had collected a few candles from villages and other structures. When I realized they add arcana to the setup, I was eager to place them as soon as possible. I experimented with different spots and discovered that even in front of the enchanting table, the candles still added arcana. When I tried enchanting, I quickly realized my low levels were holding me back, so I had to wait until I'd gained more experience before giving it another shot. With the first floor finished, including the fireplace, I turned my attention to the second floor and continued building. I crafted some more chests and was about to upgrade them to gold when mid-crafting a zombie attacked me. After taking care of the undead intruder, I finished crafting the gold chests and placed them next to my enchanting setup for now. Time to sort my inventory and my chests. To make the sorting process a bit more fun for you, I wanted to explain how the new enchanting system in the Apotheosis mod works. Apotheosis is one of the biggest magic mods out there, and it adds a lot of depth to enchanting, which makes it really interesting and fun to use. First off, we have Eterna. Eterna shows you the level of your enchanting table. Basically, it works like vanilla enchanting, but Apotheosis adds a bunch of new bookshelf types, each boosting Eterna to different maximum levels. You can even see exactly how much each bookshelf adds by hovering over your enchanting setup or the bookshelf itself. Then there's Quanta. Quanta is a bit of a tricky gamble. When you're enchanting your tools and spend XP levels, Quanta works in the background to modify the final enchantment strength. The problem with this one is that it can not only increase the power of enchantment, it can also decrease it. With a high amount of Quanta and a bit of luck, you could win the jackpot and get an enchantment as strong as up to 200 levels. With bad luck, you'll just waste your XP. And last of all, there's Arcana. Arcana controls how rare enchantments are. At 0%, enchantments follow the normal rules. But once you reach 100%, the system is reversed. Very rare enchantments become more common as normal ones, and common enchantments become harder to find. Additionally, at 25% Arcana, you're guaranteed a second enchantment, and at 75% Arcana, you're guaranteed a third one. That means once you reach 75% Arcana, you'll always get 3 enchantments on your tools and armor. I do have to admit, it took me a while to get the hang of the system, but once you try it, you'll pick it up pretty quickly. After sorting my chests and managing my inventory, I upgraded my main backpack to diamond level. At this point, I figured I might as well craft some upgrades for it right away. I made the bronze stack upgrade and then I leveled it up to iron. Now, not only do I have a crazy amount of space in my backpack, it can also stack blocks even higher. And then I couldn't wait any longer and enchanted my pickaxe. With my newly enchanted tool, I focused on my next goal, the basement. I don't know why, but I'm always drawn to a big cellar. The perfect place for storage and even more. As I started digging, I somehow managed to flood the room. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in total. By the 3rd time, the whole place was completely underwater. And what does a tourist do when things go from bad to worse? Exactly, eat. After replenishing my hunger, I fixed the mess and continued with a side quest. Of course, I saw a nice looking door in J and wanted it as my main entrance door. Dude, why do I get distracted so easily? While searching for a specific wood type, I found some interesting structures. The first looked like a lighthouse. There were plenty of mobs, but I fought my way through and cleared the area. Inside, I discovered some odd scrolls hidden in barrels. Using one gave me 10 XP levels. And the mysterious knowledge of death banner appeared again. This time, I actually wanted to figure out what it meant. When I first opened the coral tombstone interface, it was quite a lot. But I worked my way through it, and it's kind of like a skill tree, focused only on you and your in-game death. There are some really useful perks, but I didn't want it to dive too deep yet, since I plan to feature it in another video. Next to the lighthouse was this massive structure waiting. I couldn't resist moving forward to it, so I hopped into my boat and made my way over, not noticing the giant sea serpent on the minimap. So the freaking dude jump scared the heck out of me. I wasn't sure if I could face it, but at this point I had no choice. Since the water was the serpent's home, I had to get back to land quickly to fight it. The battle was a real back and forth, and when the serpent refused to return to the surface, I realized I had to finish it in the water. So I jumped in and landed the final hit. Now I could finally move on to the structure. The strange biome full of ashen trees and small burning volcanoes hid a massive pillager mansion. Still riding the high from my victory against the sea serpent, I convinced myself I could storm the mansion. I mean, how bad could it be, right? Well, I got my answer. Right in the main hallway, an evoker was hiding behind a pillar. The moment he spotted me, he called his pesky vexes, and that was my cue to give up and run as fast as I could. After barely escaping the horror, I was back on my boat, but appearances can be deceiving. I got hypnotized by the luring singing of sirens. I felt drawn to it, but somehow I realized it was a trap and managed to free myself from the beautiful song that turned out to be nothing but hissing. I put an end to their deceitful tricks and continued exploring further into the icy biomes, where I found a small settlement. I wanted to stay for the night and tried to sneak my way into a hut, but one villager wouldn't budge. I mean, I get it, but come on, move! He tested my patience for a while until I finally realized he was stuck because of a trapdoor on the floor. I removed it and he was free. Happy as he was, he led me into his house. I found sea lanterns and an enchanted shear. Pretty cool, though I'm not sure I'll ever use it. Another chest contained a backpack, which I took. The next day, the adventure continued. It didn't take long to reach the biome I wanted, and there it was. Holly logs. Exactly what I was after. Instead of going back home to finish what I started, I decided to take a stroll to a nearby witch village. I gave the witches a gentle reminder about showing respect to visitors, and soon after I came across one of the most whimsical biomes I've ever seen. Absolutely beautiful. In the heart of the nearby swamp, I found a strange little village. The houses were shaped as mushrooms and cute little Ribbles were playing tiny musical instruments. Oh, how I love modern Minecraft. While looting, I got attacked by a pretty aggressive bird, shooting its feathers like daggers. I couldn't reach it with my sword, so I drew my bow and took it down in a few shots. One of the Ribbles noticed what I just pulled off and started dancing. Oh, how I love modern Minecraft. The Ribbles gifted me a cool sword hidden in one of their chests, the Dormant Relic. This weapon is one I'm going to grow quite attached to. I still had more exploring to do and soon came across a village a few biomes away. There I decided to take their waystone and their goddess statue, which I planned to place back home. I also ran into a mushroom-shaped dungeon. The loot wasn't anything special, but the mobs were pretty funny. Mushroom-headed piglins. I didn't know that was on my bucket list. With my silk touch pickaxe, I mined the spawners instead of destroying them. Maybe that will come in handy someday. When I left the dungeon, I placed a waystone, planning to return later for more exploration. But now I only had one mission: finish the house I needed for safety. I got back and offered all my collected spirit orbs to the freshly placed goddess statue, which left me with almost 2 full rows of hearts. Man, I'm getting tanky! Back in the basement, I focused on creating more space to finally expand and organize my storage. I had a better idea for lighting up the room without relying on tons of torches, so I placed some glowstone in the storage area. Since I wanted easier handling and because I love Tom's simple storage mod, I crafted an inventory connector and a crafting terminal. Then I set up the first chests and the storage system, giving me full access to all the connected chests and the ability to craft directly at the terminal. Finishing up the basement, I moved all the essential workstations downstairs and continued decorating the walls, ceiling, and floor. Since I'd already had some time to think about the first mod I want to cover in the next video, I decided to enlarge the basement. This area will be dedicated to everything related to mystical agriculture. To start the journey with this mod, I crafted an infusion altar and its 8 required pedestals, which needed a bit more space. Then I crafted some hopper botany pots, which allowed me to grow the special seeds inside and send the harvest straight to the chests below. To make the first and most important items from mystical agriculture, I learned that you need a plowed dirt block and some inferium essence to create inferium farmland. This farmland lets you grow all tier 1 seeds from the mod. So I placed the farmland and the inferium seeds, crafted from wheat seeds and inferium essence, into the pots and let them grow. I love the little detail that you can actually see the plants growing inside the pot. Not sure when I found this bag of seeds, but I opened it and got some new seeds for my botany pot farm. Excited, I rushed back to the pots to plant them, only to realize it wouldn't work. These seeds were tier 2, and the farmland in my botany pots only accepted tier 1 seeds. So I decided to focus on other things first and moved on to the kitchen interior. While decorating, I noticed a strange name tag floating in the air. Curious as I am, I went outside to take a closer look and saw a skeleton on a bee. I was confused, but when the skeleton attacked me, I decided to fight back, not realizing I'd end up roasting a sweet, innocent bee. Although I have to admit it was still pretty funny. Due to this encounter, my mind was drawn back to exploration and adventure. I ventured out in the surrounding wilderness to gather different types of wood, flowers, and anything else I could find. While collecting new materials, I noticed far too late a dragon was approaching. It attacked immediately, and this time I couldn't run. I had no choice but to face it. I tried to keep my distance, firing arrows from my powerful bow, while it blasted the area with icy breath, freezing the ground and turning it into icy spikes that dealt constant damage. I had to stay in motion to survive. The dragon had an enormous amount of health, and the fight dragged on well into the night. In the end, I was trapped, surrounded by frozen spikes from its breath, and the dragon prepared another attack. All I could do was keep shooting, unaware that it was already close to be defeated. And then I made the last shot. The advancement dragon slayer appeared, and I felt sad about the death of such a magnificent creature, but I also wanted a world that was safe to live in. I collected what remained of the dragon. After this exhausting battle, I needed to rest, so I slept in my sleeping bag and woke up the next morning feeling a bit better. Not far from the battleground, I found a kaolin deposit, a material I wanted to use for the roof of my building. I started mining it, digging so deep that I opened an entrance to a huge lush cave. That was perfect because I needed moss, and now I could farm plenty of it. In the lush cave, I was greeted by another mimic, which this time gifted me a thorn pendant. I also found some spore blossom that I wanted to hang from the ceiling of my basement. Once my backpack was filled with kaolin and moss, I returned to the surface and discovered a huge castle-like structure next to a village. My curiosity got the better of me, and I rushed towards the open doors of the dark structure. In the beautiful entryway of this monument were 3 skeletons already waiting to attack. fighting my way through them wasn't much of a problem, though the loot could have been better. When I climbed the stairs to the second floor, I was greeted by a mob. Noticing the wither skeleton covered in full netherite armor and holding a totem of undying, I knew this guy was a bit too much to handle up close. So I tried to create some distance and take him out with my power bow. After landing my first shots, I noticed he was bugged and couldn't move. I took him down, hoping he would drop parts of his armor, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Fighting my way into a room with a chest in the middle, I got pretty jump scared when its trap was triggered. I was surrounded by grey concrete powder slowly sinking deeper. Not knowing what was underneath, I panicked and desperately searched for a way to stop myself from drowning. I came up with the idea to place dirt underneath me, but it was already too late. I clipped through, but instead of more concrete, spider webs had been causing me to sink further. Once I calmed down and reached the floor, I cleared the spiderwebs and made enough room to escape safely. After that shock, I ran into another wither skeleton in netherite armor and totem of undying. I fought it the same way as the last one, not bugged this time, but also not generous enough to drop any armor. Dang it! It took a while to clear the structure, but I ended up with 3 bottles of dragon's breath and loads of iron. Leaving the area and continue my journey back home, I came across a village and another ice dragon. I kind of felt sorry for this one as it had trapped itself between the villagers' houses, but I still shot at it, trying to defend the people. When suddenly a blacksmith ran right between my arrow and the dragon. I mean, yay? 6-7? Anyway, I saved the village, nobody got mad at me when I hit one of their own by accident, and I was free to go. Back at home, I finally finished the building. Well, kinda.
Wait a minute.
Taking a closer look at the front of the house, I realized that the whole building was off. It was devastating, but for my own peace of mind, I had to fix it. So I spent the next 4 days fixing the damage I'd caused while being a bit scatterbrained. In the end, I was finally able to decorate the exterior, adding details and depth to my house. The last thing I wanted to do was my enchanting area, and I finally got around setting it up. I placed everything I had there before, added some subtle lighting with an amethyst bud, and decorated it with some stacks of books. Behind the enchanting setup, I created a small brewing and writing area. I placed a chest to hold all of my enchanted books, added an anvil and a grindstone to complete the setup. Now I could finally say that I was truly creating a home. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching my first YouTube video. It took a lot of time to make and I would be super grateful if you could leave a like and subscribe. You can also check out my social media, the link is in the description below. There will be more content following soon, I promise. In the upcoming video, I will deep dive into the mystical agriculture mod. I will explain how you make seeds and how you get the required materials. I will extend and decorate the basement to match the aesthetic, and you're welcome to join. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.